We're back at the table with this week's Line Opinion panelists. A story in the Santa Fe New Mexican by Patrick Malone caught our eye this week. It highlighted the challenges that some families here in New Mexico are facing while they are on a waiting list for the Developmental Disability Waiver, also known as the DD waiver. That program is supposed to help people access services for family members who need help with everyday things in medical care for mental and emotional disabilities. But as Patrick reports that some families are waiting up to 14 years for that promised aid from the state to come through and merit. Just a simple first question. What was your gut reaction to the story? How did you, as a human being, thinking about these families and what they're going through, the sense of fairness or unfairness you got from this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the stories of the individual family was terribly upsetting. And I'm on the board of two large nonprofits, one here in Albuquerque, one in El Paso, that provide services and jobs for meaningful employment for disabled people. So
you can mention Adelante.
Okay, Adelante and Ready One in El Paso, different missions, and this is less. It's a state program. It's a federal program. It's federal money. It's Medicaid waiver. What struck me in this program was the tiny number, because I knew there were more disabled people in New Mexico. And I looked at the census and whatever that definition is. I mean, technically, I'm disabled, but maybe not by the census. But the Veterans Administration says I'm disabled. Okay. So whatever that definition is, which is also I think an issue on how we define them. We have 108,000 of those people in New Mexico, according to the census. 4,500 are getting care under this program with a 6,000 person waiting list. And I feel like if we're putting that much money into a program that is serving 4% of our disabled population, do we need to relook at the program? And I'm not saying pull it back and less services, but it just seems to me like it's not working.
Let me go to the Senate here real quick, because those very words, seems to me it's not working. I think you have said that probably in your Senate time when you've been working on this, I'm sure.
Oh, it's been an issue for years, since the 1980s.
Wow.
First of all, just a little bit of background on the program. It is a Medicaid waiver program because the federal government is waiving the requirement that they provide funding for people who are in institutions. Usually Medicaid funding goes to people who are institutionalized, like long-term care, that kind of thing. But in New Mexico and throughout the country, they've decided that initially it was cheaper to provide that care in the community. It's more humane to provide that care in the community. And New Mexico was a pioneer in providing community-based care, one of the things that we should be proud of. We closed the institutions in Los Lunas and Las Vegas, where people with developmental disabilities, that is mental disabilities, as opposed to physical disabilities, were receiving care. The idea was that it would be cheaper initially, but now it's costing about $70,000 for community-based care, which includes all kinds of therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy. But when you think about it, you think about people like Don Bustos, who was profiled in that New Mexican article. How much care, how much of a subsidy are they providing to the state by the family-based care that they have been providing for their relatives for a lifetime?
That's right, out of their own pocket.
A lifetime. And so, I think that it is really a shame that we have so many people waiting for services, and we need to expedite that process. But we also need to look and see whether people are really receiving the services that they need. And that we don't have a whole bunch of people that are on the waiting list that are receiving, the Cadillac plan. And then there are some that are receiving nothing at all and are being totally subsidized by their families.
Interesting. Laura, Patrick's article pointed out the fact that it costs a lot of money to do this. This is lifetime care for folks who are developmentally disabled this way. $25 million a year, but nobody seems to want to pay for it in the legislature. Isn't there something about the least of us that we need to take care of? That's what our government is for. That's why we pay taxes. Isn't there an expectation there? Or am I off here in our American system here?
Well, and it's a measure of society, right? It's basically measures what a society is like by the way we take care of our most vulnerable. And this is definitely one of those areas that does not receive anywhere near the funding that it needs. And I do think that the system is fundamentally flawed, and we need to somehow figure out how to address this. But you know, this is very personal for me, I should say. My sister is developmentally disabled, and she also has epilepsy. When my mom passed away about almost 3 years ago now, I essentially became her caretaker, although she's a lot more high function than, you know, thank God. But it's been just keeping up with all of those things, you know, doctor's appointments, medication, you know, shopping, basic quality of life things. Is a huge amount of work for families. And that's with somebody who's very high function. When you have a very low function individual, you're talking about many, many more issues, and the amount of stress and problems that come along with that. I mean, it's just such a huge problem, and I think it leads to a lot of other potential problems within that family unit, and it adds to the community, you know, quality of life.
Couldn't imagine the quotes I'm reading, Merritt Allen, about from Mr. Bustos that the senator mentioned about this. Every day they have to have a triple layer of backup with friends, family. They can't afford to let any ball drop in their lives. The stress has got to be unbelievable. And 10 years worth, I think I'm with Laura here, 10 years of worth that would blow up a family, it would seem to me, or not allow you to function as well as you could as a family, that's for sure. So, if in fact it's going to cost $200 million, $250 million to reduce the wait from 10 years down to 3 years, why not? Why not? Isn't that money well spent for families at the end of the day?
Well, and I think it's, we've been wrestling with this problem, and I think Senator Feldman did a good job of identifying the gap where we move from institutionalizing people to community-based care. Once you get out of the institutionalization, it's much harder to track people, and it's harder to figure out what exactly they need. And not every family will have the same circumstances, the same dedication, the same drive. And so trying to come up with those customized plans, I think, is a huge challenge. One thing we were talking about earlier, the application for this waiver program is 183 pages long. There's a money issue, but there's also a how it works and how it's administered issue. And I think the state's got to look at both.
Well said. Rob, can you finish up in less than a minute? I apologize.
I think the larger question, you know, should the state spend $25 million over the next 5 years? That's a question down the road. But I think some of the more immediate questions are the fact that New Mexico, as the senator mentioned, spends on the average about $70,000 per person, which I think is the fourth highest in the nation. Is there, and yet, in that story by Patrick Malone, says some recipients of those services aren't spending all that money. Let's find a way in the short term to get some of that money funneled to people who need it.
That's a good point. We'll have to leave it there. Up next, we hear about the new Civilian Oversight Board for the Albuquerque Police Department.